Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining uh, our next edition of Lessons from Lalo. So today we're going to be focused on uh, applications in the events, festival, and venue vertical. So we're going to talk about high level, how a lot of event brands are using Lalo every day. And then we're also going to dive into some pro tips and even bring up some new features that you guys may have missed for anyone who is already using Lalo. I'm Thatch. I'm Director of Business Development and have a lot of experience on the event side of Lalo, working with probably a lot of you attendees here. And then Connor.
Yeah, hey everyone. I'm Connor Bates. I help lead our live events vertical here at Lalo on the sales side.
Sweet. So let's dive right into it.
Awesome. So what we'll go through today is an overview of upgrading your newsletter. So starting first with getting people signed up to your overall profile, then using Lalo's drop suite to build really cool campaigns around the key moments in your festival cycle, things like pre-sale and lineup. From there, we'll have a special guest actually join the webinar. He is what I call a power user of Lalo and uses Lalo in really unique and cool ways that I think everyone here will get a lot of value out of. After that guest joins, we'll then wrap up by talking about pairing your giveaways with a Lalo drop through an IG comments feature, going through multi-drop, which is a newer feature that festivals have started using more frequently. And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about your ongoing retargeting and nurturing of your fans using all the really valuable data that we capture, and then on-site messaging. So during the actual event, how are you engaging your fans? And then at the end, we'll wrap up with Q&A. So if you do have questions, you can feel free to pop them in that little Q&A button at the bottom, or just keep them in mind and save them for the very end, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. Awesome. So starting first with upgrading your newsletter. So this is where you can use Lalo's profile page to get fans to passively trickle into your top of funnel. So right now, festivals, without using Lalo, might be getting fans to join through a sign up form at the footer of your website. Maybe they're leaving their email or perhaps a phone number as they're purchasing tickets. So with Lalo's profile tab, this is a really powerful way to get fans to sign up for just overall updates from the festival, not specifically tied to a drop campaign. So first place you can do it is with your link in bio tool. So you can highlight it directly on your link tree. Good example there of Cross Festival putting a get updates button where fans can sign up for overall updates from Cross. Another really powerful tool is the embed feature. So you can embed all of your drops as well as your profile page directly onto your website. This is really powerful for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to give you flexibility to collect SMS, to collect email, collect both. And then we automatically are tagging your fans' locations. So if they're located in the US or the UK or EU, we'll automatically update the country code, and it's one click to join, just like with our drop pages. And then finally, what's a really cool application is QR codes actually on premise. So at the venue through posters or billboards, getting fans to just simply scan that on their phone. That will pull up your profile page, and it's one click to opt in there. So that's, again, the passive data capture for overall updates. Now we'll talk a little bit about specific drops and campaigns to get people to sign up.
Awesome. Yeah. So as Connor mentioned, I think the first place you want to start when using Lalo is covering the basics, and that is embedding on your website, getting in your link tree, and that's going to allow fans to passively trickle into your list. It's actually how a lot of events are currently. That's the only way they're collecting their data. So Lalo and our kind of claim to fame here, and what we're oftentimes known for, is drops. And drops allow you to kickstart and really boost your fan acquisition uh, based on these key moments in your event or festival cycle. So we're going to talk about some of the most common ways that brands are using drops to really grow their list. Starting with ticket access, which is definitely front and center. We're also going to talk about how you can drop your lineup with Lalo or drop any other content, like maybe your after movie once the festival's done. And then lastly, we're going to go into giveaways, which I think is a really powerful use case that Lalo has some uniquely effective features for. So to kick it off, Old Faithful dropping tickets. So um, this is our most common way of using Lalo in your event cycle. So the way this works is pretty straightforward. You're going to announce your event. You're going to tell fans, hey, if you want first access to the first tier pricing, you're going to want to make sure to sign up, on this drop page. So you can share this link. You can put it directly on your story. You can tweet it, whatever. And when fans click on that link, they're going to land on this little drop page. We're seeing that for every 100 fans that land on one of these pages, we're getting over 50 of them to opt in. For those of you who don't know, industry average conversion for a sign up form is right around 7%. So we're 5 to 10xing the amount of data you're going to collect when you're using this drop system. So we make it super, super easy for fans to sign up. It's a one tap opt in. Um, and of course, a few days later or a week later, when those tickets go on sale, all those fans are going to be notified right on time. They'll be given their code and they're going to be able to go in and access tickets. So we're going to fill up that queue when it opens up, sell up first tier, and hopefully set you up for a really good event cycle. One thing I want to call out for all these drops is that even though the fans are signing up for a specific notification, so in this case, they're signing up for first access to tickets, it acts as our Trojan horse. So all these fans, we're collecting their data and they're now compliantly opted in to receive nurture messages anytime in the future, whether it's lineup phase 2 comes out a week later, you can retarget those fans. And then one little new feature that I wanted to call out for you guys that was launched about a month ago is what we call upsells. And this basically allows you to add a link that fans are redirected to after they've successfully opted in. So one common example would be when fans register for next year's festival, right after they've successfully registered, we send them over to check out your after movie from last year. So this is not only giving you some views on your YouTube channel, but it's also engaging those fans and getting them to really think about this festival. So that right when the pre-sale opens, they're feeling really motivated to buy. You can use whatever link you want in that upsell field. So that could be maybe a merch pre-order so that they can have the merch for this year's festival in advance. So really the possibilities are endless there. And we're seeing currently that for every 100 fans that are signing up, we're getting around 30 of them to actually click over to that upsell. So you're getting a lot of traffic, a lot of engagement at the time of registration. Next up, and definitely our favorite type of drop to run for an event, is your lineup teaser. So this is a great opportunity to grow your list. And we see this can oftentimes be the moment where you get the most fan acquisition. And um, the reason for that, I think, is when fans are registering for pre-sale, they're getting ready to, put in their credit card information and buy those tickets. But when fans are signing up for a lineup, they're really being promised an early access view at who's going to be on the ticket for this year's event. So I think this is a really casual call to action that tends to uh, make it more incentivizing for fans to want to hop in and join your list. So the common way you run this strategy is announce that the lineup's coming, use Lalo's tools to collect fan signups that want to see the lineup first. And then automatically when that lineup drops, we're going to direct all those fans to the lineup tab on your website so they can go feast their eyes and talk with their friends about who's playing this year's festival. So one feature I wanted to highlight for lineup drops in particular is our Instagram integration. So many of you might be aware of this feature, but for those of you who maybe haven't seen it, this is a really high converting way of getting your fans to actually join your marketing list. So Outside Land Festival, for example, they posted a story and told their fans to reply RSVP, which is their keyword for this lineup drop. Thousands of fans went and simply replied to that story, and immediately Lalo captures their phone number, their location, and actually opts them in for Instagram DMs. So we have kind of a new messaging vertical, and it tends to be a really great way to grow your list. So you can retarget these fans. Maybe a week later, the tickets go on sale. You can go right into their primary inbox just a week later. So um, so these are some of the common ways to use our drop system. But as Connor mentioned in the intro, we wanted to bring on a special guest who we call a power user. Um, and Jack has used Lalo for hundreds of campaigns, and he does a great job of really thinking outside the box. So I'm going to pass it off to Jack, who just joined, and for some reason his name is Thatch, but this is Jack.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Hey y'all. Thank you so much for coming in. My name is Jack Height. I'm in the digital marketing, social media management space. I've ran campaigns for Flume, Rufus, Coachella, DoLab, and a whole bunch of fun in between. Um, and essentially, the biggest tool that I've been using historically has been Lalo. As a digital marketer, the biggest gripe that I consistently find is how do we convert our process to be something that people want to engage with rather than something that's super salesy and promo. And how do we convert a fan into someone within our community and someone who wants to keep receiving information in a way that feels like they're getting rewarded. And for us, what we did with High Tide Festival, which is a low independent festival in Charleston, is we converted the phone number for Lalo to be a teasing mechanism. So with our lineup this year, comprised of like Chris Lake, Disclosure, etc., we asked a whole bunch of people within the lineup to send over voicemails, essentially telling people, "Hey, I can't get to the phone right now, but I'll be able to respond on June 6th in Charleston." That what that created was a waterfall effect where we would post one reel with the phone number, which was 1843, I believe, High Tide. And then from there, people would call and start to get other people to call over time, so that it really created a massive domino effect of people wanting to return, tell others to return, not to sign up, but to receive insight into who was playing next. Subsequently, they would all completely sign up. But I think the biggest thing that this reflects is just how do we use our real estate online? Outside of the music festival side, I do also run a whole bunch of social medias for artists. One of those being Dylan Francis. Um, One of the really, really cool things that we did with Dylan Francis was to debut his new project, Sorry My Love. What we did was we thought about, okay, how do we utilize his real estate that people look at online every single day, and just it's not something where we have to kind of like cram down people's throats. And what we came down to was the Spotify canvases. So we went into some of Dylan Francis's largest songs on Spotify, and we actually built the Lalo phone number into the Spotify canvases. This ensures that you can actually metrically see on the back end of Spotify how many people are going to visit this location. And then you can see the conversions that came in over time of people going streaming because they like it, finding an Easter egg, which prompts them to then want to engage with it and just start to give information and go from there. The really awesome thing about Lalo as well that I've used a ton is their pre-save feature. So as people are signing up for updates, they're actually also pre-saving all your future music ever, which is incredible. I personally hate saying pre-save link in bio when you're doing a marketing campaign. So this just makes everything exponentially more fun. And to add one final layer to this as a whole, what we started to see was the major effect from this is we started to see fans actually start to engage with this to the point where fans created their own merch. And they created their own merch with our phone number, and the phone number has now been used across so much fun. But on here's my email as well, for the digital ad company that I run, social media strategy. If you want to chat more about strategy, or any Q&As about my hands-on with Lalo, always here and down to help. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on the call too. Here for any questions as well from y'all, Captain team.
Appreciate it, Jack. We'll keep you on in case there's any questions for you. And um, I think just in summary, Jack does a great job of thinking outside the box. And at, at the end of the day, Lalo is a very concise tool. that makes it really easy for fans to tap into your brand, to your marketing channel. And I think Jack does a great job of looking at that fan experience. And I know
to win 2 tickets, for example. Uh, what's really cool is pairing that with Lalo and our Instagram comments feed directly through the Lalo app to let them know that they've won. Now, what's really cool about this is you now have
you're already telling fans, comment and tag a friend. So this just gives you the ability to actually capture that data whenever a fan does engage with the post. Another feature that we have, it's called the multi-drop, and it was built specifically for artist tours that have a run of shows that fans want to sign up for and get tickets to in different cities oftentimes. But we found that this feature is also come into play for a lot of events and festivals, so we figured we'd introduce it. So this is specifically, I think, a great fit when you are running a pre-party or a road to your festival, or in this case, a series of after parties. So Cross Festival had a bunch of different artists playing throughout San Diego. Um, the event ended around midnight, so fans would then go to these after parties. So they announced this after party series and told fans, hey, go sign up for the shows that you're interested in. Fans landed on that page and looked at all the different headliners for these after parties and signed up. And then automatically, when those pre-sales began, all those fans were notified, given the ticket link for the specific show that they signed up for. And it led to a really successful on sale. And I think almost all of those after parties ended up selling out. So obviously a great campaign wherever, if you do have a series of shows. And I think this is another great moment to collect data because all of these fans are now opted into your CRM for future events.
All right, perfect. So up to this point, we've talked mainly about drops, right? Using your key moments, key announcements in the cycle to grow your list and get a lot of engagement and excitement about different campaigns that are happening. Next, we'll talk about the actual data capture and using all the data that Lalo captures on your behalf to retarget and nurture your fans going forward. So if you don't mind going back one slide, Thatch, to CRM done right. So here on the right side, you can see an example of a fan profile within Lalo. So worth noting that one of the most powerful features of Lalo is the one tap to opt in, right? Their phone number is pre-filled. They tap RSVP. They've joined your list. Same thing with email. But with that one tap, Lalo is able to capture in a lot of cases the user's name, their phone number or email. We're also tagging where they're located by IP address, and that's being updated in real time. And then some advanced data that we're capturing is things like, have they purchased merch and what sort of merch are they interested in? As well as through our Spotify integration, we're able to track what they're listening to. So their top 5 artists that they listen to. Then, of course, all the past campaigns or drops that you've run that they've signed up for. So again, to kind of summarize, they opt in within 2 seconds on a drop page. But with that one opt in, we're capturing a ton of first party data that you can use going forward for really effective retargeting and nurturing. So the way to put all that data into practice and really make the most of it is through the message composer. So outside of like the drop suite, you have a message composer where you can send a message to your full list or a segment of your list at any time. So you'd simply click, choose who to send this to, and there's a ton of options that pull up here. So you can filter down by location and target people within a certain mile radius, maybe around your festival or around a pre-show that's happening. Lalo is also omni-channel, which is really cool. So we're powering email marketing, text message marketing, as well as Instagram DMs. So if you want to send out a blast to everyone, and using different filters, but that would be delivered through text, email, or Instagram DM, depending on how the fan signed up. But if you wanted to just send an email blast or just a text blast, you have that option in the message composer as well. And then lastly, one thing that's important to call out is the conversion data. So we've been hard at work at building ticketing integrations to where we can now track purchase data. And so you can segment based off of who has bought tickets, who has not bought tickets. Maybe we want to give people VIP upgrade options if they've already purchased GA to the festival. So again, our dev team has been hard at work building out these different ticketing integrations. Feels like we have a new one being added to Lalo every month now. So beyond ticketing, we also have things like Shopify and Merch Table for merch. So with Shopify, being able to pull in your product catalog and see historical purchase data from your fans over time, which is really valuable as you're running merch drops on Lalo. And then lastly, you can add your Meta Pixel ID, TikTok Pixel ID, your different pixels directly into your Lalo account. So as fans are interacting with your drop pages and your text messages that you're sending out to them, you can use that to optimize your ad campaigns going forward.
Awesome. One really important thing to call out is at event applications of Lalo. So you've obviously talked a lot about getting fans signed up and marketing to them and getting them to buy tickets. But there are a ton of great opportunities to leverage your Lalo when the festival is actually going down. So calling out a few of these, first off, your fans are at the event. You can use this channel to message them and let them know, maybe, good morning, here's the Saturday lineup. We can't wait to see you at the event today. We even have seen people use this for sponsorship activations. So for instance, sending out a message to your fans that are at the event and saying, hey, come to the Heineken tent for $2 off drinks until 3 p.m. So this is really, I think, a great thing to leverage in your sponsorship discussions when you're talking to your partners. I think getting a message blast to all these attendees is going to be a really powerful tool, whether that's during the event or maybe even after, for depending on your sponsorship. SMS keyword replies, I think, is really interesting. So we have one festival in particular, Country Thunder. They have about 10 events around US and Canada. And they actually set a bunch of FAQ keywords into their phone number. So they're all automated. So if a fan ever texts the number and says, I need a map, we will actually have an automated response that gives them a link to go download a map that they can add to their phone screensaver. And that could be from anything from how do I get a taxi? What's an Uber? To really, the world is your oyster there. So you can set up these keyword automations, and it can save a lot of. It can help fans really get the answers they need quickly. And a little side effect there is that we're also collecting that contact info for marketing purposes. So even if a fan's asking about some question, they're now looped into your system, which is a nice little side effect. And then lastly, QR codes. This is a really important thing to data capture at your event. So when fans are maybe in between sets, you can put up a QR code on the screen or have posters at different booths around your event to continually grow that list for next year's cycle. Maybe early bird tickets go live in a couple weeks after the event. This is a great chance to get those renewals added to your list. And lastly, and I think a really, really unique functionality with Lalo is that we give you a bunch of tools to leverage your headliners, to actually leverage the artists that are playing at your event. And this is, as I mentioned, very unique to Lalo because we work with so many artists. We've been looking at festival lineups, for years now, and we've noticed a trend that we'll have about 60% of your lineup as actual Lalo users themselves. So this unlocks some really interesting functionality that I'm going to go through with you guys. And for starters, we have a Spotify integration. And Jack mentioned this a little bit, that this is a really valuable feature for artist teams that are using Lalo. But we've actually found that it can be a great tool for events, venues, and promoters, in that if you're trying to get your headliners to share your event and help you leverage their social media followings to actually join your pre-sale registration, for instance, you can talk to the artist team and say, hey, we're going to put in your Spotify, your next song's ISRC. And whenever a fan registers for our pre-sale, we're going to actually get you follows on Spotify and get you pre-saves. So that can be a great lever to pull to get the artist to actually activate and be more excited about sharing your event. The next one, and in kind of a similar light, is collabs. So if one of your headliners has a Lalo account, which as we mentioned, there's a good chance, you can actually use our collab feature to make it so that whenever a fan signs up for your event, after they've successfully opted in, you can direct them to go follow that artist. So I've even seen festivals make a custom drop page that is a co-pro with a specific artist. I know Borderland Festival just did this with Vampire Weekend, for instance. So that incentivized Vampire Weekend to actually share this pre-sale registration because that was actually leading to a benefit for the artist team. Lastly, and this is kind of a secret feature, a pilot feature that we've been working on for a while now, is Lalo ad audiences. And this uses the network effect within Lalo and the fact that we have so many artists on Lalo. We can actually consult with you guys and say, hey, you give us your lineup, you show us who's playing this year. We will cross-reference that with the actual Lalo accounts for those artists, and we can actually build you a custom audience. It is anonymized through lookalike, so we make a custom lookalike audience, but we can basically help you have an audience that is completely based on your lineup's top fans. And these are the fans that are buying tickets, that are buying merch, and that are going to be most excited to see those artists perform at your event. So that is a custom service. So hit us up if you guys want to try that out, or hit up our chatbot. But it has been getting amazing results in a lot of A/B tests that we've been doing on the ads front. So these are just a few ways to kind of work with your artists. One other one that we didn't have a bullet point for is, let's say you have an artist on your lineup that is using Lalo. Reach out to that team and say, hey, maybe you guys can send out a message to your fans within 100 miles of our festival, promoting our festival to your direct mailing list. And I've seen a lot of festivals start to pull that lever as well. So I think definitely something to consider is look at your lineup. And if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to us. All right. So a lot of information. We really appreciate your guys' time. And now we want to open it up for questions. Before that, I think a high-level summary. Lalo is the best way to communicate directly with the fans of your festival. We recommend you cover the basics, meaning get your embed on your website, get your link tree updated so fans can trickle into your list. And then we really recommend using drops for all the key moments in your event cycle. So lineup, ticket on sale, giveaways, really any key moment in your event cycle that fans would be excited about. You want to use Lalo to capture that data, grow your list, and also create a great experience for your fans where they get that ticket link right on time. We have some other advanced features and ways to use Lalo outside the box that we hope you guys will be inspired by, and we look forward to seeing what you're going to do with it. And then on the back end of Lalo, you have your core CRM. It has a ton of data on all your fans, and that allows you to retarget your fans anytime with a few clicks. And that works across email, SMS, and Instagram DMs. So again, really appreciate all your guys' time. And we will dive into some questions right now.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I can take that first one, Thatch. Kick us off. All right. So the question was, Lalo sends out the link for the drop for anyone that replies RSVP in that case. So I think this question is around the Instagram keyword or story reply feature. So what's really cool about that is it's baked directly into all of your drop campaigns in Lalo. So you would simply add whichever keyword you want to your Lalo profile. And then, post a story with that call to action, telling your fans to respond with that. And then you'll be able to capture the data when they respond with that, just like they would signing up from the link. And then they're automatically opted into that messaging journey. So they'll get the confirmation message in their DMs, and they'll get the drop message on the day of the drop just from that keyword response.
Yeah, and in terms of the back end, like how you set this up, you go to the advanced tab in your drop, you type in your keyword. As Connor mentioned, this could be RSVP like Outside Lands did, or it could be an emoji, whatever word you want. And then you click add. Immediately, any fan that replies to your story or DMs you with RSVP are opted in. And I think this is a great lever point to also talk about Instagram comments. So we've expanded that API recently so that whenever you post on Instagram, you can actually connect your drop to that post or that reel. And anyone who comments on that post will be opted into your list. So we think that that feature alone for giveaways is going to be used, thousands of times in the next year. So definitely keep an eye on that. And if you guys are already doing tag a friend giveaways to kind of boost engagement around your announcements and lineup drops, then it's really something you guys should activate as much as you can. Thanks for the question. Next up, what's the best way to track conversions, ticket purchases through Lalo? Is the only tracking via UTM appended to the ticket URL? So great question. So while you can put in a UTM on any of your ticket links, meaning when you go in and you program a message or you program a drop message, you could always put in a ref or a UTM to tag that traffic and say, oh, this traffic came from Lalo that converted to this many ticket sales. So that is definitely how a lot of people have been doing it. But a new update at Lalo is we've added our store. So this launched a couple of months ago, and we're already, I think, over 15 different integrations. And what this does is it allows you to put in what we call our Lalo pixel into the back end of your ticket provider, so that whenever someone goes and buys tickets, it's going to send us a trigger, and we're going to be able to tag that fan in your CRM as buying that specific ticket. So it varies a little bit from ticket provider to ticket provider. We even have a couple ticket providers that will transfer that opt-in data. So if a fan checked a box for marketing, they're now going to be added to your Lalo list automatically. We actually would love it if you guys would help us help you. And what I mean by that is hit up your ticket provider and say, hey, we really want this integration. Our dev team did a great job making it very easy for ticketing platforms to integrate with us. Oftentimes it takes less than a day or two. So if you do have an account manager at your ticketing site, say, hey, we really want this, and use all the leverage you can. And feel free to start a conversation with us and the ticketing platform to get that built out for you. Thank you for the nice comment. We got a question that's more on the artist side, but we can run that for you real quick. I'm promoting an album while hosting a series of shows. Do you recommend creating a multi-drop and an album drop? So good point. You actually can toggle on our Spotify integration onto our multi-drop feature. So we would recommend creating your tour page, and then by default, that's going to collect Spotify information. So while you're really pushing that tour, or for festivals, while you're pushing that after party series, you can also collect Spotify information on your fans. Can you take this one, or I can?
Yeah, I can take this next one. So the question was, can SMS replies work during the event? Short answer is yes. Very easily to do so. So directly within your Lalo account, you'll see a button at the top that says SMS keyword campaign. So you're probably not going to be wanting to manage Lalo while you're on premise, like at the venue for the event, but in the week leading up to it, set up a few keywords in your Lalo account, whether that's FAQ or map or lineup or anything like that. And then you can just set up a custom response to whatever those keywords are ahead of time. And so at the festival, if you have signage up prompting people to respond or to text you with those keywords, then those responses would come through to your fans automatically because you set them up ahead of time. Great question.
Yeah, and I think just to give you guys an example, I mentioned Country Thunder. And so what they did is they had about 30 keyword automations set up and pre-programmed and ready to go for all the most common questions. Fans, 9 times out of 10, when they texted the number with a question and they had their phone number listed around the event, 9 times out of 10, they included one of our keywords and we sent the automated response that kind of likely answered their question. That 1 out of 10 that maybe was asking a question that didn't have a keyword set up, that fan response went straight to the SMS responses tab. And this festival, in fact, did have a customer service team that was managing that SMS responses tab. So any questions that kind of filtered through, they were able to have a one-to-one response and kind of help their fans with any quick questions that came up. We don't foresee every festival does that, but I do think it's a cool application. And specifically, we're seeing a lot of brands start to start to use Laylo and kind of use these features rather than having a mobile app and kind of renewing that every year. So we do work friendly with mobile apps. Oftentimes, we're a great way to get your fans to actually download the app is by sending them a text. But we have seen that transition a bit here and there. Any way for artists to collect data on site, on screens at festivals? That's a great question. We actually just built a guide that is specifically for artists who are playing at festivals and how they can use that event to interact with their fans. So if you go to our Notion guide, and this is an anonymous question, but feel free to email us and we'll send you this guide. We talk about a bunch of great ways to get fans to actually come to your set at the festival, and then also use that set time to actually collect more fans that might be, on the polo fields, just looking up and watching your set and wanting to tap in. So definitely a guide we'll want to get over to you, or you can just go to our Notion page, which is accessible through the guides tab in your Laylo app.
I'm going to take this one that's down a little bit, but I think it's important to address. The question was, can you have multiple keywords for the Instagram keyword feature? Great question, and the answer is yes. So for each drop within Laylo, you can add up to 5 custom keywords. So maybe you want to try out a different keyword, different days leading up to the actual drop. So maybe for lineup, you put in lineup the first day, and the second day you put RSVP. Third day, you can do an emoji. Emoji is a popular keyword that people use. So yeah, to answer the question, you can have up to 5 for each drop that you're running within Laylo.
My favorite example of this is maybe you have a marketing image from last year's festival where a DJ is performing under a disco ball. You use that image on your story, and instead of saying reply RSVP or like your generic keyword, maybe you tell fans reply with a disco ball emoji. And I think really, really great marketing teams are using those keywords in a way that actually like fits the content. And because Laylo's completely hidden in the background, the world is your oyster. And as Connor mentioned, you can add up to 5 keywords per drop. So I think that's a really cool thing to call out to keep it fresh for fans. This is a good question. I think it's worth calling out. Is there an email we can reach out to for additional ad services, or just go to the chat box? So if you reach out to the chat box, it does connect with our actual CS team. If you want to email them, it's contact@laylo.com. So if you reach out to them, they will connect you. And for the ad services in particular, they'll be able to loop you with us to connect there. So talking about what type of account you need, Laylo has really only 2 options, and that is Laylo Free and Laylo Pro. Laylo Free is a great way to kind of try out the platform, see our drop feature, but it has a lot of limitations. So we kind of have it set up where if you have more than 100 fans that are going to engage with your account, you're going to need to have a Laylo Pro account. The good news is that Laylo Pro is $25 a month, and it unlocks all of these different features that we talked about. So look around with that. Laylo believes that you should only pay for what you're really using. So if you're a smaller festival and you're not sending hundreds of thousands of messages, you're not going to pay for hundreds of thousands of messages, and it's going to really match your budget. So I think even if you're a smaller festival or an independent brand, it should make sense. And I think one factor that speaks to that is we have tens of thousands of artists that are using Laylo. And sometimes artists, especially independent artists, it needs to match their budget and kind of what they're getting out of it. So I really think you'll find that it'll match what you're doing.
Yeah, with that, there's another question asking, will Laylo also work for independent emergent artists, or is it only for festivals? So that's just touched on that. But yeah, Laylo works really well and applies to artists, festivals, promoters, venues. So you would, it's a great tool for actual artists using the platform as well.
Is there a monthly subscription? Yeah. So as I mentioned, Laylo Pro, $25 a month. It is built to do exactly what you're mentioning here, which is casting out your events online and building your fan base. So we recommend, as you know, as we talked about in great detail, start by getting your passive data collection. So put it in your link in bio, embed it on your website for your event, and then use drops. So whenever you have a big event that's coming in the future, whether that's tickets, a lineup, whatever, use our drop feature, and that's going to help you really grow your list. And we see that you're going to grow your list 10 times faster with a drop than if you're just telling fans to join your generic newsletter. So that's a really great place to start there.
Do we have a payment platform? We do not.
Luo and our dev team has a very clear direction that we want to be the best way to communicate with your fans. And we really want to stay in our lane and create the best experience there. So we work friendly with every ticketing platform. We want to be agnostic of kind of how you're executing those ticket sales, but we will be the one that drives fans over to that ticket link. So yeah, we mentioned this, but go ahead and reach out to that through that chat bot or reach out to contact@Laylo and we'll get back to you. This is another great opportunity. Since Eventbrite is a very popular ticketing platform, will you be integrated anytime? We have communications open with Eventbrite, but we need you to message your account manager at Eventbrite and say, hey, I need this. I use Eventbrite. I use Laylo. This would be a great tool for us to have. So oftentimes that helps us just get a little more momentum so that their dev team actually puts it into place. But once we get them motivated, it takes like a couple days to get it all set up, and we definitely want to get Eventbrite supported soon.
Here's a good
all
one.
Right.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Hit it.
I was gonna say one more I'll touch on, and Thad, feel free to add your thoughts here. But the question is, recently did a big Laylo campaign for our tour pre-sale. Now we have new music coming, a festival announcing, etc. How do we avoid fan fatigue of continuously asking them to sign up? What I would say here is, because you're just asking for a sign up and people have the choice to either give you their information or not, we see that it's not really a big ask. And what really helps with this is that FOMO, right? That emotion of, this person can sign up to get access to this first. And if they don't, they might miss out. So that's why we see, a 50 to 60% sign up conversion rate on our drops, is because people feel inclined to actually sign up for something specific and important to them versus, hey, sign up for our newsletter. And then what I would also say here is, they have to raise their hand and explicitly opt in to get notified. So it actually works a lot better than if you're just blasting your list with these updates whenever they went live without this person explicitly asking for that message to come to them. So we see that there isn't much fatigue on the fan side of prompting them to sign up because they have the choice at the end of the day to do so or not.
Yeah, I also want to call out the average time a fan actually interacts with Laylo across over 150 million opt-ins is 3 to 4 seconds. So fans don't even really notice what Laylo is. You tell them on social media using native Instagram language, hey, if you want to, get the best tickets to my tour, sign up here. They tap on that link, they opt in, and it's a really quick experience. So we have not seen fans get any fatigue with drop pages or calls to action. And the alternative, again, is big things coming soon.
Stay tuned. And there's no way for those fans that want to interact with your brand to actually know when it drops. So I think
it's obviously optional. Your fans are going to sign up where they see fit. We just make it really, really easy for them to do that, really frictionless, and also feel very personal. So we're lucky that we get to work with the artists, the events, the brands that fans actually love. Our universal opt-out rate is less than 0.1%. And I think typically the fans that are raising their hand actively for these drops and for these different campaigns are they're expressing that they're excited about what you're putting out there. So I would not be too worried about that. And I think one last note there is the beautiful thing here about Laylo is, let's say you had a big Laylo campaign for a tour. All the fans that signed up for that tour are now opted in for future updates. So there's this 360 element where if a fan signs up for a tour, you now can message them about merch. If a fan signs up for the lineup, you now can message them about tickets. And I think that's a really key value out here.
Do we include terms and conditions? Yes, of course. Or, sorry, for giveaways in particular, that's actually a really good call out. If you're running a giveaway on Laylo, there's a description field that you want to put in your terms, whether that's a boilerplate or wherever you get those terms, you want to include that in the description. In terms of marketing communication compliance, Laylo is GDPR compliant. We're supported in over 100 countries for SMS. So we do a great job making sure your brand is safe when doing marketing. And I think we end it here. This attendee said, thank you. And we really appreciate, we wanted to, reciprocate that feedback and say thank you all for attending. We still have a lot of you on here. So thanks for spending all the time with us. And we, of course, I think we have an amazing support team. So Connor and I are always here. And we've got our CS team that is hard at work answering all your questions as well directly in the app. So thank you all for all of your time. And we really look forward to another year of events using Laylo and continuing to add features that are going to help you guys sell out and crush your different drops. So thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.